Anyone visiting the CNN homepage the morning of Sunday, November 15th, got to see one of the most egregious displays of journalistic so-called misconduct perpetrated in recent memory. A display that not only insults the multitudes who attended Saturday's Stop the Steal rally in D.C., not only overlooks the violent BLM and Antifa attacks on them, but actually insinuates that the rally attendees were the ones who initiated the violence. Hi, everyone. I'm Gardner Goldsmith for MRC TV. You know, as part of my attempt to monitor media bias, I visited CNN's website Sunday, and I took a screen cap of what I saw, just to have it on record, and to double check that my eyes were actually not seeing some sort of cruel mirage. After the massive DC Stop the Steal Million MAGA march saw tens of thousands, perhaps hundreds of thousands, come from all over America to peacefully interact, publicly speak, record videos, sing songs, and express their desire that multiple irregularities in the 2020 U.S. elections be investigated and proper remedies be provided should their suspicions of fraud be confirmed. And after some of those thousands headed home, many of those remaining or on their way home after dark were set upon by gangs of weapons-wielding, explosives-throwing, saliva-spitting, fist-slamming, thieving, shouting Antifa and Black Lives Matter members. And many of us saw it reported by people like Town Hall's Julio Rosas, the Post-Millennials, Andy Ngo, and many others. We watched with increasing fury as peaceful people were attacked, thrown to the ground, and threatened by bipedal animals whose greater philosophy of collectivism, and by the way, both Antifa and Black Lives Matter are Marxist organizations. The former started in Stalin's USSR, and the latter's founders openly stated they are Marxist. We
actually do have an ideological frame. Myself and Alicia in particular are trained organizers. We are trained Marxists. We are super versed on sort of ideological theories.
We watched, realizing that their greater philosophy would see those same victims further victimized by the federal tax and regulatory beast the animals worship like God. And how did CNN headline its coverage? Well, beneath a daytime photo of the rally was the first headline. Trump supporters rally and clash in D.C. as president refuses to concede. Which, looking past the improper insinuation that Trump should concede, even though the election has not been officially called for anyone, focuses on the rally attendees as the source of violence. CNN doesn't mention the BLM and Antifa attackers. Does it take a grammarian to ask CNN to write a headline that doesn't shift blame through its opaqueness? Trump supporters clash. Okay, with whom? With each other? That's exactly what's implied by the headline if one reads it as American English. But of course, CNN has their own language, American newspeak. Then, of course, we have the subheadline that actually links to a report. Millions were misinformed through the highly coordinated Stop the Steal campaign, which implies that millions of those people traveled thousands of miles under the influence of false impressions that, of course, the Trump claims of voter irregularities and possible election fraud are meritless. That it's all a sham spouted by petulant ingrates in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. So, given such a claim in their headline, one would expect that CNN would provide evidence to back its claim that millions were misinformed. And guess what? This is, of course, CNN. So despite this ugly piece of muckraking, utilizing the so-called skills of four so-called reporters, not once do they cite either a legal claim or legal fight engaged by Trump's team or supporters, nor do they cite any information to show when, where, or how any of the millions were incorrect in suspecting election problems. The piece actually focuses on Roger Stone, claiming that he connected to the movement behind the massive rally. The report cites his use of the term "Stop the Steal" in 2016, but it makes no actual connection to the contemporary movement, merely using name association and not citing any financial tie or interaction between Stone and anyone behind the new movement. In fact, they admit that they found no financial tie. But even if Roger Stone had helped form the new movement, how would that be significant in any way? The claim in the headline implies that participants were misinformed about the election. And after the four glorious CNN reporters paint their canvas with such broad and dark conspiratorial strokes to imply that this is a giant psyop by Stone, they simply jump to Steve Bannon starting a Facebook group with the same name and then changing the name, never mentioning that the reason he and others kept changing the names of their groups was because Facebook was attacking groups and posts discussing any potential voter fraud. Man. So after implying on its website that Trump rally attendees either clashed with each other or initiated clashes with opponents, then claiming that the attendees were misled, the tawdry excuse for a news network didn't even mention the attacks perpetrated by Antifa and BLM and never mentioned a single legal claim about the election itself. How about the fact that on Thursday, November 12th, Pennsylvania Appeals Court Judge Mary Hannah Leavitt ruled in favor of the Trump legal team's suit that segregated ballots that arrived after the legal deadline for voting so that they would not be counted. The fact that this is a court matter on which someone has ruled is on its face an example of election irregularity, which is why, oh wondrous CNN, Trump's team brought it to court. One need not be a Trump supporter to support his team's efforts to challenge voting irregularities in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, Wisconsin, and any place else. One need only want wrongdoers exposed. But CNN not only overlooks wrongdoers on the streets of D.C., they add insult to injury by nonchalantly dismissing claims of possible election fraud or error. To give them even a few sentences of acknowledgement might inspire a handful of sad CNN visitors to actually investigate the claims and find that they're 100% worth further exploration, that there are numerous sworn affidavits in Michigan which are supposed to be taken as evidence and are given under penalty of perjury charges should the people giving them be found untruthful, and that there are major legal problems in numerous states. Of course, anyone who mentions these problems must be absolutely deranged, and if we're to take CNN's drift, possibly very physically dangerous. So, those interested in investigating possible criminality, well, they're the troublemakers. You know, this is a time when I hope every American above the age of, say, 10 sees the film or watches the play Gaslight, knowing how underhanded people engage in the nefarious process of blaming people who merely want to see justice is very important nowadays, especially if one deals with CNN. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Please, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, make sure you subscribe, send these out to friends if you have the opportunity, and I'll see you in the comments section. Please visit us on Facebook. Visit us on Twitter. We're on Instagram as well. And yes, I am on Twitter as well. It's @GardGoldsmith. You can also find me on Gab. It's Gardner Goldsmith on Gab. For MRC TV, I'm Gardner Goldsmith.